Hi, Mary Ann.
Well, we're testing audio right now. Okay, so is she hearing us?
Is Andrea hearing us?
Hello, Andrea. Hello.
How is everything, Andrea? We have a good audio test.
Yes.
Check.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Andrea? Maybe she couldn't hear me. Andrea, can you hear me?
Yes. She said yes. Scared me.
Okay.
All right, you guys ready?
All right.
Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Ann.
My name's Mike.
And I'm Sean.
And you're watching the Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour program.
J.C. Thompson Building Edition.
Yes, absolutely. 2015. Well, got to set it so that they know about next year's.
All right.
Absolutely. So this is our first edition of the After Tour, okay? And here's how it's going to work. We're broadcasting live right now. We just sent out all the links to everybody. We're testing the audio and that kind of thing. It's the first time we've done this. But during the presentation, we're going to talk about some experiences of the last tour that we just had. And if you have any questions, please comment on Facebook or through the YouTube channel or anywhere that you want to. We're monitoring all the channels right now.
We'll try to get to your questions then later on in the show.
We're going to go and answer any questions that people might have. So, J.C. Thompson Building, what do you guys think? Was it a good place?
Absolutely.
Oh, I think it was awesome. I mean, the building never seems to let us down. There's always a lot of good activity. It always seems to attract a crowd.
And it seems like every time we go, we get a little bit more. A little more and more and more each time. So like the first time we went, we only had a couple of pieces of evidence. And since then, we've kind of added.
Well, that's one thing that we discussed before, because we were like the second paranormal group actually to go in and do an investigation at the J.C. Thompson Building. And we had a theory that we posed that the more a location is investigated over time, the more activity that you get. I have to say, this is my vote, but I have to say that compared to the first time we were there, we did get a lot more activity. What do you guys think?
I definitely agree.
I would agree with that.
So let me talk about the J.C. Thompson Experience a little bit. It was a 3-day event, and what we did is we went in and helped Sarah, that's the owner of the building, providing tours of the building during the day, and then at night we had Mike and Lee did tours during the day.
Mike and Lee did the tours for us during the day. We definitely weren't around.
At night, every night we had something different. The first night we did a presentation on speaking with entities?
Yes.
Where we went over and we showed some of the techniques on how we do EVP sessions, or how we use an SB7 or K2 meters, things like that. That was the first night. That was Thursday night. Friday night, after the tours, we went in, we did another presentation. It was called Living in a Haunted House. And we went over the symptoms of, how you can tell whether your house is haunted or not. And then what you can do if it is, which is basically get a hold of us. But, commercial. And then Saturday night, we did an all-night ghost hunt. And that was the first time we broadcast live
Yes.
on Google Hangouts. And what we did was we hooked our DVRs up and broadcast that over the Google Hangout. And then we broke in a couple times to kind of tell you what we were doing and things. But you could actually watch the ghost hunt while it was live. It was really cool. Now, here's something that's really neat. If you didn't go on a ghost hunt with us, or even if you did, that video is still out there on our YouTube channel. You can actually go out there. It's almost 8 hours long. But, if you're bored, it's raining, nothing to do.
Scroll through.
Yeah, you could watch it. If you see anything in the DVRs, leave us a comment. We've already, got a couple things, which we're going to mention here in a little bit. But it's out there. We're going to leave it out there. It's really cool. So you can actually watch it if you see anything come up. If you see Mike and I coming into the frame, we're not apparitions. We were actually there. Well, I'm not. I don't know. We haven't proved him yet. But you'll see where the teams went into the different locations and was ghost doing their EVP sessions and things like that. But again, it's out there on our YouTube channel. Please take part in the ghost hunt. You can do it right from your own living room, computer, wherever you're at, tablet. Go watch it. Leave us a comment, but note the time so we could go and pull it up. And if you see something we didn't, we haven't had a chance to watch all 8 hours of it yet. At least
right.
I have.
We had 4
Maybe
cameras.
Andrea, is Andrea still on our chat? Maybe Andrea watched all 8 hours.
I just like to scroll to the part where we do the 3 breaks and we're explaining what we see,
You like seeing yourself.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I just think it's a good part. It's.
I just think it's exciting that, people who aren't with us can actually be there with us. Even if they're in California or Arizona, we have friends in New Jersey, they can be watching these things while we're doing it here in Ohio. And maybe they can help us catch something we didn't catch at the time.
Actually, it's really cool. The technology that we use to do it, you don't want to know, but it was amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the personal experiences that we've had. Before we get started with this stuff, let me just explain a little bit more. Dark Shadow Ghost Tours is a little bit more than just us 3. Out of frame, you can't see her. She's working our chat lines and the questions over there.
Say hi.
Say hi. There, they heard you. Lee's part of our team. Laura is part of our team. Kay is part of our team. And Andrea is also part of our team, too. Now, that's the core team. That's also Panic D and Divine Paranormal. We have other members of Dark Shadow Ghost Tours that help us out with our murder mystery dinners, and when we do things like that, come on ghost hunts too. But Dark Shadow Ghost Tours is just not Marianne and myself or just us 3. I mean, it's a group of people that we call them family. I mean, we have a good time.
We just can't do it without them.
And I really look forward to all of our adventures. So to get started with some of the personal experiences, we're going to go over some personal experiences that we've had. We're on air until 9 o'clock. So in about 8:20, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back, finish the personal experiences, and then Marianne's going to have our skeptic report because she's our cruise skeptic, and then we'll answer some of the questions. So while you're watching us now, please post your questions below, and the last segment before we go off the air, we'll try to answer some of your questions. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We really didn't get anything Wednesday.
No, Wednesday we went and brought in the equipment for the presentations,
That's
the
right.
audio materials for our presentations, set up the screen for our presentations on Thursday and Friday. But we didn't really go and set
We
anything
didn't
up
have any
anywhere
recorders
else. Right.
or anything with that. So this is starting Thursday night. Now, although the ghost hunt was Saturday night, when you get a group of paranormal people together in a haunted location, I don't care who you are, they're going to be doing some investigation. Whether they have a recorder in their pocket while they're running around pulling cables and putting stuff, something's going on. Okay, so Thursday during the day, right? Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we had a field camera out in the building, just to see if something would take pictures. We did have some pictures go off, weren't too clear. Don't know what they were yet. But on Thursday, while we were setting up, well, I wasn't. These guys were setting up the DVR cameras. You guys heard some strange noises.
Yeah, we set up 4 DVR cameras. We set up 2 upstairs and 2 in the basement. The upstairs ones were on the 2nd floor in the radio room and in the
Truckers
Union. That's right. I'm like, where was the other one? In the Truckers Union. When we were setting those ones up, we really didn't have any experiences at all. We didn't really notice anything out of the ordinary. But when we went down in the basement to put those ones in, we did.
Yep. We were mounting the one camera that was facing towards the furnace room. And as we were mounting it up, we heard something that was down there with us. And me and Marianne looked at each other, and I was like,
I said, you hear that?
Yes, you did. I mean, and it was coming from the area where there was a hole in one wall where a young boy is said to be coming out of and looking around and stuff like that. And that just matched right up with what we heard. And, you know, we didn't have anything with us to go check it out. And, but that's when we were getting the cameras set up.
We had a flashlight, and that's pretty much the majority of what we had. We had that and a drill.
Yes. And some tape.
And lots of tape. We found that we really like tape.
Yeah.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but the paranormal claims for the location is apparitions of children
in the basement, in the area where the furnace room is, peeking in and out of the door frames there.
Okay, so there's something there. Now, Friday afternoon, we were having a problem with one of the DVR cameras.
No, we weren't really having a problem so much as I was watching the DVR on the big screen, and I was watching it, and this one item, which had been there the whole time, it seemed like it would change shape almost as if it was being grayed out a little bit on the one side, and I didn't know what exactly it was that was down there to see if maybe it was something that could get jostled or whatever. So I sent Lee downstairs by herself, but she's okay with that. I sent Lee downstairs to check it out, and we had walkies, and I was saying, okay, a little to the left, a little more to the right, no, back up, and I'm trying to get her to be in the exact spot of where I wanted her to be, to say what's right in front of you. And she was in the dark, of course. She didn't have her flashlight with her, and she kept hearing sounds behind her, and you were able to see her in the DVR. She'd go, and then she'd get back to her work, but she did that several times, and she said she kept hearing the sounds of maybe movement in the tunnels that would be connecting what we call the tunnel room and the furnace room. There's like a little tunnel area where all the tunnels are. It's like a hallway, and she said she could hear things moving back and forth in there.
But didn't you say there's a wall separating?
There's a brick wall in there now, closing off the one end.
Well, you heard as if something was passing through there.
Could walk through there,
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And this was outside what we called the tunnle room.
Yes.
The DVRs.
Yes, between what we call the tunnel room and where the street would be outside.
Okay. You guys went and did some exploring.
Of course we did.
On Friday, and or were you taking the field camera, moving the field camera or something?
Well,
I don't know. You guys were up in the building.
both.
So-
We had gone all over the place. We were taking Andrea. Andrea had not been in the building previous
That's right,
to this
that's right.
week.
Okay.
So the first day, she kind of went upstairs and saw the upstairs things, and so we did some things up there that on Friday, and then I said, okay, I'll take you in the basement. And so Lee and I and Andrea went down into
So
the
you
basement.
went down through the basement and came up into the tattoo
Correct.
room.
Yes.
Okay, and that's where you heard some footsteps
Yes.
or people walking around.
Yes. So it had started to rain, and the atrium, which is like a shaft that goes through the entire building from the roof all the way down into the basement, we could hear that there was some water trickling in there. So I, of course, wanted to go see if I could see exactly where it was coming from, because that's me.
Skeptic.
So I went up, we all went up the stairs from the basement into the tattoo parlor shop section. And we went over to the shaft opening, and we were looking in there, and as we're looking around, we could hear the raindrops, but then we also heard footsteps walking across the ceiling above us, but we thought it sort of sounded like it was in probably the radio room on the second floor. So I had a walkie with me, and of course I walkied Sean, and I said, hey, did you guys go upstairs or send anybody upstairs? And Sean's response was, you have the keys.
We didn't have the keys to get upstairs, so
So anyways,
that was quite interesting.
there was some footsteps that we definitely heard. All three of us heard it, and we're like, do those sound like footsteps to you? Yes, they do. And so it was pretty interesting.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the next one, and this is the feeling of being watched. Now, if you've gone out on any type of paranormal investigation or just some places that have paranormal activity, even cemeteries, I mean, a lot of cemeteries, there's reports of being watched, things like that. This building definitely has that. I get that feeling up in the radio room. Andrea reported that she got it in the atrium where it looked like people were looking out the windows down at them. But Mike, you get that feeling too.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, when you leave the street and walk that long staircase going up, by the time I get to the top landing there, you know, you can feel a little heaviness. You can feel that, you know, you're not alone. You know, the building's looking at you, and that whole area there in that top landing, heading back in toward the radio room, the
Receiving room.
you know, all that. I mean, you know, it's like you can just feel the heaviness. Like, you know, there's something there, and they want you to know that, you know, they got their eye on you.
Lee, you had something with in the tattoo room,
Yes.
or you thought something was like next to you.
Yeah, I thought it was Marianne. This was right before we heard the footsteps.
Yeah, we were.
were looking at stuff.
Yeah, Andrea, I, and Lee were in there. And Andrea has to play with stuff all the time. That's one of her things. Everywhere I go,
We're
I
gonna talk
swear.
about it because she's
That's
not
right, she's
here.
not here. She can't say anything. But I swear, everywhere she goes, she finds something to like put on or play with.
Especially if you give her a Kit Kat bar.
Oh yeah, she's
That's
just
like
shivering.
catnip.
But she found this walker, and she decided wanted to take a picture of her walking with the walker, you know. And so I took a
Where's
picture
that
of her
picture
with
at?
it. That's
We
on
have that
her
picture?
camera.
Oh.
No, she said it had to be on her camera so that we didn't use it for any of our advertisement
Yep.
things anymore.
She knows I'd be using
That's
that.
right.
Oh,
So she was playing with that, and I took her picture, a couple of the pictures, and Lee was sort of in between us. And at one point, I moved away and a little further away towards the door of the tattoo shop, and Lee didn't realize that I had done that, and she was talking to me behind her. She thought that I was still behind her, so she had the feeling that someone or something was behind her, and she thought it was me, but I
Nice.
wasn't. Then I answered her from over across this way, and she's like, when did you move over there? So she had a feeling there as well. Now, you mentioned a couple of things with Andrea and the atrium, feeling things in the atrium. I didn't feel anything this week when I was there, but the second time I was there, when I would go upstairs in the trucker's apartment on the third floor, there's a window that looks out into the atrium there. And I love standing and looking out that window. I call that my 227 window. If you guys remember the show on TV in the 80s, 227, the ladies would all hang out their windows and chat at each other. That's what I feel whenever I'm there. I'm like, that these people are hanging out the window chatting with each other, and that I should be part of that. And so I'm always drawn right there to that area. So again, in that atrium shaft, the feelings of
doesn't push you out.
That would be you.
All right. Well, we're going to take a 5-minute break. We are live, so we got to fill our coffee back up, and we will be back in about 5 minutes to continue on with J.C. Thompson Building
After tour.
2015.
2015. We're
All right,
back.
we're back. Did you miss us?
Oh, yeah. Is it?
Now we're back.
We're back.
Now we're back.
We're back.
Did you not put us on screen?
I didn't clip them.
Oh my.
You know, hey,
That's all right. I guess we'll keep you.
fire me.
We wouldn't fire you. We love you.
All right, so let's get back to our discussion.
Yeah, again, we were going through some of our personal experiences from the J.C. Thompson house that we just did this past week.
And do you believe while we took a break, we were talking about this too? So
Yeah.
we got a couple more things that we're going to add to the show here to the end that we kind of forgot when we planned this out. So, but all right, the next thing I have on the list here is smells. Okay. The smell of, well, I'll let Marianne talk about it. Go ahead.
Oh, I get to talk about it. All right. Well, again, as I said, when we were pretty much by ourselves in between things, Andrea, Lee, and I, we kind of went and explored a lot. And on this particular occasion, I can't remember. We've been talking about it. Don't remember why, but Andrea and Lee went upstairs to the second floor first before me, and then I joined them afterwards. And so I came up the stairs and come through the front door there. I said, "It's just me, guys," you know, so that they would know it was me. But when I got up to the top of the stairs, Lee and Andrea are like, "Do you smell anything?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So they said, "Come over here and smell over here and tell me what you smell." And I said, "I don't know. I can't really tell that I'm smelling anything in particular. I could tell that it was a little bit different from the stairwell portion to right there in front of the doors where the radio room and the radio sitting room. What do we call that? The receiving room. The radio receiving room.
Yes.
I could tell that there was a difference in the scent, but it wasn't anything dramatic, and I wasn't able to pick anything specific out. I said, "Why? What did you guys smell?" And they said they thought that both of them smelled lilacs. So I don't know if some of the old residents used to wear lilac perfume or if they had lilacs around. I don't know. But they definitely both said that they smelled lilacs, and then that it went away.
Yeah, that was a popular scent. Lilac and
Roses.
rosewater.
Yeah, but they didn't smell roses or rosewater. They said it was specifically lilac, and both of them agreed that it was lilac smell. So,
Interesting.
yes.
All right, so this next one is actually
Intriguing.
intriguing. I was impressed with this one. I think all of us experienced it the first time it happened, which was Friday night when I said that we did a presentation on living in a haunted house. And at the end of that, Mike does a presentation on blessings, cleansings, crossings, and things of that nature. When he started talking about crossings, all kinds of stuff started going on. The first thing that I believe that we recognized was a light in the resource room came on. Now, this light has no switch. They can't turn it on. It's never been on.
It doesn't work. They
Tried.
Sarah's husband put in a brand new bulb just to check the thing when he first went in there, and the light has never worked since they've been there.
And they've been there 2.5 years or so. So in the time that they've had the building, they haven't had anything with that light at all.
So I don't know whether they were kind of like worried whether we were going to do a crossing or a cleansing or something, but during that conversation, when Sarah was there, because you did the same presentation the night before, but Sarah wasn't there. And Sarah has made that claim too, that that when certain people come and talk to her about certain things, that she hears knocks or noises, and that kind of like tells her yes or no or something like that. But while Sarah was there and you were talking about crossings, that light came on. And then what happened the next day?
The very next day, Lee and I got there to open up and get things set up for Saturday. And as we normally do, we unlocked it, we walked inside, and we both were like, hello, it's us, Mike and Lee, we're here. Hello, just letting you know that we're back. And I think Lee had just finished, and that same light, which was a CFL light or CFI light, whatever they call them, little curly
Those
cues.
squiggly ones.
It takes a second for them to warm up. It instantly came on full blast, like it was saying, hi, hello, I see you. And it came on, it stayed on for a minute, it went back off, and we said thank you, and it never came back on again.
So if you're a group that's going to investigate the J.C. Thompson building, which, by the way, if you saw the ads that were flipping, there was a phone number. We'll get that again and tell you the phone number. But get a hold of Sarah. She's a wonderful lady, and it's a great place to investigate. But if you're going to investigate that location, it's the light that is towards the windows. It's like right in front of the windows of the Liberty tax office.
That
So
used to be there.
if you walk into the front doors of the resource room, it's the light all the way to the right on the ceiling fan. So if you want to do some investigation there and test some things out yourself, ask them to turn the light on. It'd be kind of interesting if other people get that same response.
Or
Now,
maybe they just really like Mike.
you know, Mike's the man. Mike
Well-
is the man.
Well, I get in and I talk to him about, blessings. I get in there, I talk to him about performing exorcisms.
I think you made him nervous.
And then, right in between when we were talking about exorcisms and we were talking about crossings, they were like, hey, here I am. No, don't include me in it on that.
Yeah, I think you made him nervous.
Yeah, but I think when he came back the second day and
Yeah,
they responded,
kinda-
I think they realized he's not going to make me do anything I don't want to do.
And I think you reassured him too during the presentation. Oh no, we're just talking about it. We're not going to.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, during that presentation, it stirred up all kinds of stuff because Marianne was running the computer for Mike, and she was supposed to play some EVP's recordings during
I
his
missed Mike
presentation.
too.
And I'm just sitting in the chair, like watching presentation, because I love to hear my man Mike talk. I'm just sitting there, and I did my bit. Light comes on. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I think Mike did it himself, but anyways, I look over and Marianne's supposed to hit the cue. Mike's like looking at her, and they're looking at meaning Andrea and Marianne.
And Lee.
Were you
they're-
in
I
with
don't
them?
think
No,
she
you were
was
sitting in front.
looking. She was innocent this time.
They're
She
looking
says-
at the laptop next to it at the DVR because there's something going on. And what it was there was a mist that came into the furnace room. Like I said, if you go online and watch our DVR, you find it and note the times, you can actually see this mist in the furnace room. This happened at the same. It happened twice. It
that we
happened
know
during
of,
the
that
ghost
we
hunt,
noticed.
and it happened during Mike's presentation. But the one.
Yeah,
Did it
well,
Did
we
it
were
happen
doing
like
that. We were watching his presentation, and that happened. And Andrea and I are like, "Did you see that like stuff come across? It was like white, and it covered like half. It came in from the left side of the
It's like
camera.
a fog.
It like rolled in like a fog, and then it went back out, and it did it like 3 or 4 times while I'm supposed to be queuing up Mike.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't paying attention to Mike, and
We're great people. We're just
But it worked out.
professionalism.
but then the next
It'll
day,
work out.
during our ghost hunt, we noticed it happen again during one of our breaks. from ghost hunting, and Andrea wasn't able to hunt. She was there the days previous for all the tours and
That's
the
right.
events.
She saw
and
it.
she noted it online, and she's like, "Hey, did you see the mist came back again?" And I'm like, "Yes, I just saw that." So she was able to see it too.
Video,
yeah.
If you guys want to go and see. Now, eventually, we're going to go through and pull that out. One thing I want to mention too. First of all, we haven't gone through all of our evidence because there's like, how many of us were there hunting that night?
We had
Lots.
We had quite a few.
At least 12, 10, 12.
At least, I was going to say at least a dozen.
Every one of us had recorders. We had the field camera going. We had the DVR. We had all kinds of stuff going, and this was just last week. So preparing for the show, getting everything, we haven't had a chance to go over everything. But I do want to mention that any EVPs, videos, things like that, I mentioned before that we're going to post them on Dark Shadow Ghost Tours Facebook page. We might put some links to them, but actually where they're going to be located is on Divine Paranormal's webpage. So it's divineparanormal.com. There's two things that we have on there. There's an EVP collection, and there's a case management. And under the case management, that's where we're going to post all of our evidence, and then we'll cross-link it to Panic D. But so in the future, check that out, and then we'll post on our social network when we get everything done.
Yep, just hit the case manager and go to that page. And scroll down, you'll see all the cases that we've been investigating, that we have evidence and links to, and just go on down, hit JC Thompson, and it'll play for you. If you click on something that is a private investigation, it's not going to take you anywhere.
Yeah, it won't let you in there unless you log in. So this happened at the same time during Mike's presentation. Do you want to explain this? This is the Andrew's.
Well, I was sitting there watching now, because I kind of got in trouble for not watching just previously. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching Mike's presentation, and Andrea leans over and she's like, somebody just whispered hi in my ear. I thought it was Lee, but I looked over and she wasn't doing anything. And so I looked over at Lee too, and and Lee's just looking at us like, what? Because Lee literally was trying so hard to watch Mike's presentation, and
I was trying to get him to be quiet.
But she said that she heard somebody whisper in her right ear, "Hi," just a whisper, but "hi," and she thought it was Lee trying to get her attention for something, and it wasn't.
I'm just stalling for this next one.
Oh, because you didn't hear the rest. You didn't hear the rest of it though, because Andrea was sitting right in front of someplace where Mike had actually noticed something earlier that day.
There's more to that story.
Yes. Earlier, I was sitting in one of the chairs, and I was looking toward that direction. And at first, I noticed something off to my left against the wall by this one old antique dresser Sarah has in there. And I seen looked like a young man standing there. And I looked away and looked back, and it was gone. And when I looked back over to my right, at the top of the stairs that lead into the basement, there's a doorway there. And that is where we had the table set up with all the audio and video equipment. And that's where Andrea was sitting. And right
to that table was putting off some energy.
Oh, I'm sure that there was enough electrical stuff on that table.
Right behind where Andrea was sitting, earlier in the day, I had seen a gentleman standing there leaning against that wall. And I seen him there repeatedly off and on for a little while. And, so right where I seen him standing is where Andrea was sitting. And it could very well have been him, whoever he was, that leaned over and told Andrea hi, just making himself known.
Yeah, and Mike had mentioned to me earlier when I got there that he had seen this, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I wish it was me. But when Andrea did that, I didn't even think about it until later when Andrea said that she had heard hi, and we mentioned it to Mike, and he's like, that's where I saw the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, pretty interesting.
Okay, so before we try this next thing, I want to try to show you guys some photos. Okay, but before we do that, I want to give you a phone number. If you're interested in renting out the J.C. Thompson building for a paranormal investigation, what you want to do is get a hold of Sarah. Her phone number is 330-368-0590. Again, that is 330-368-0590. I highly recommend, you guys too.
It's an extremely interesting
Oh,
building,
yes.
and we didn't really tell you any of the history of the building here.
You can
We
find
did that
on
night.
Pantry.
It's really like 3 buildings that are kind of stuck together as one, and it's just awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to try something here. If it doesn't work, we lose audio. I'm going to explain what we're going to do first, and then if we lose audio, then bear with us. Orb pictures, okay? Photos of orbs. If you're in the paranormal field or follow anything paranormal, you know that it's highly controversial about photos with orbs in it. Oh, that's fake, that's camera flare, that's rain, that's dust, that's this, that's that, okay? What we do is when we're out doing an investigation, we have somebody say, please hold up your hand or whatever. Could you please put an orb or something in somebody's hand? Okay. Now, if that orb appears in the hand or around the hand or something like that, it could be paranormal, because it'd be kind of hard to say, could you put an orb in my hand and a piece of dust comes down and just floats right there, or a bug or something like that. Okay. If it cannot be explained, it's paranormal. Now, when we take photos, we take at least 3 photos, 8 to 10 seconds apart. Now, mind you, during an investigation, it's pitch black. Okay, so a flash is going to go off.
And boy, are they bright when it's in the middle of an investigation. You're like, flash coming up.
So we were in the tunnel room, right? The tunnel room.
Mm-hmm.
And Lee and Laura were snapping pictures. And I said, or did you guys say, or ask me, I don't remember which one it was, said, hold out your hand, let's see if we could put an orb in the hand. Now, the first picture that they took, nothing, it's just me looking goofy like this, okay? The second picture, if you look really close, there is actually a small, tiny orb in my hand. The third picture, a bigger orb like on my armpit. Okay? Yeah, baby. Armpit. Alright, so I'm going to try to show you these.
Hopefully it works.
Hopefully it works.
It might take him a second. He's flipping around on like 5 screens over there right now.
Yeah. Okay, so hopefully you can still hear us.
I think they can.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the first picture.
Where he's delivering a pizza.
Can you? Okay.
Second picture, if you look real close right there, you see a tiny little orb. And there's one starting about on my
Near your
nipple.
lapel. Yeah.
Okay. And then it's real big right there on my armpit. Now those pictures were...
But the other one went away.
And then the other little one went away. So those those pictures were taken about 8 to 10 seconds apart, right? And we asked, could you please place an orb there? So, to me, I'm speaking for the team, but I'm gonna ask everyone else. Would we consider that to be some sort of evidence?
Well, I'll tell you what. I would say, yeah. There's a general line of thinking out there that if you're going to identify an orb as a spirit or an energy, that it has three parts. And what you look for is the outer ring of the orb, if it's like fuzzy, and if it's like fuzzy and that's a good sign. And then the second part is the inside is not solid. It's a lighter shade, and that meets both of that, and that it's not a solid, dense, firm picture where which usually results off of moisture or something like that there, or dust when it's reflecting back the camera flash, because the flash will make it appear, it'll light it right up and make it look solid. But supposedly if it's energy that it's not reflecting it back, it's actually absorbing it. So the center of the orb will be somewhat light, and the main ring on the outside will be fuzzy, but you'll actually be able to tell the separation.
See, now this one here, it's not like what's weird, it's not like a full circle. If you can look at it real close at the bottom, it's like flat on the bottom, which is kind of different, so.
Yeah, and if it's a bug, they usually, are a little more oval than round, more oblong in shaping. So.
All right, I was going to try. I don't think it's going to work because we had some audio problems.
Well, we'll put this real close.
No, I was going to try to play a video.
Oh.
But
See the video?
on our YouTube channel, I actually posted this video before the show. And it's actually out there, just in case that we couldn't play it. I lost my page. Okay. But down in the furnace room, this was late, but you guys got the same thing. Down in the furnace room, we were getting a lot of activity. We tried the SB7. Did you guys try the SB7? I know I asked you.
Yeah,
Okay.
this was Saturday
night.
night.
We tried the SB7 to get communications down in the furnace room late Saturday night. And we really weren't getting much down there. And this is like in the middle of the building, down in the basement, which, if we got something on SB7, it would have been really cool. But we're sitting there and we're doing the session, and I had K2 meter sitting there and Mel meter sitting there, and we're asking questions as normal. And then Mike started asking questions about family. And I noticed, because it was a small room and it's loud, if you've done an SB7, they're noisy. The tone of the SB7 kind of changed. And I mentioned to Mike, I said, keep asking questions about family. We were getting K2 hits like mad, like crazy. And actually in that video, towards the end, I asked a question, if you're still here with us, can you light that up to completely red? And in a matter of like 2 seconds, it pegged it again and then went back down. Now, if you watch the video that's on our YouTube channel, I'm not even going to try to play it now, but you can see I have the Mel meter sitting next to the K2. The K2 keeps pegging and responding to the questions and things like that. The Mel meter fluctuates from 0.1 to 0.2, but I think I had it turned down so it wasn't matching what the K2 was. But there was definitely something going on there. And the interesting thing about that furnace room, like I said, it's in the basement, in the middle of the building. It's not going to pick up. None of us had cell phones on us. It's not going to pick up any. I don't even think there was electric down there. But you guys had something similar going on in that room too, didn't you?
Yeah. We went on in there. The second place we investigated was in the furnace room, and we had K2s out. We had SB7. SB7, we got nothing. It did not like that. That NEDs there did not like SB7 in there at all, for sure. But the K2s, again, just like you were saying, all the way to red, lighting up all the lights pretty consistently. We'd ask questions and it would light up. But one thing that I noticed was we tried several times to find out if we were talking to a boy or girl, a male or a female. And no matter when we asked those questions in the midst of other, questions, we kept going back to it. It would never respond. The K2 would just sit there and do absolutely nothing. We would give it some time and still do absolutely nothing. We'd ask another question, bam, all the way to red or whatever. And then we'd ask about the boy or girl or male or female again, and nothing. So it definitely didn't like that question.
Well, we went over and when we were down there, the furnace room, it was where we were getting the mist. That was in the furnace room, and and the K2 hits that we were getting, it wasn't like there was any little, they weren't bumping up halfway or just barely ticking over to yellow. The answers were like quick, and they were like, it was pegged all the way. I mean, red, bang, just nonstop.
And we did we had 2 K2s in our group, and we had, if you want to answer this, we did it on one guy, and we had another guy across from him, which one. Mm-hmm. And we would get them responding on one and not the other.
Really?
Yeah. But I didn't have a video camera on me.
Yeah. I want to go back and put K2s back in there. If we could duplicate that, that's unbelievable. Again, if you're a paranormal group and you rent the J.C. Thompson building, please try that and let us know. Yeah. We would love to have that information on Panic D.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, if you look at the clock, we're running over a little bit. So what? If you want to leave, go ahead. We're going to stick around and finish the show here. It's our first one. We're going to dial it in, but we got one more thing that we're going to talk about. We're going to take another break. We're going to come back and answer questions. We got a couple more things to talk about. We got the debunk report from the skeptic over there, and then we'll wrap it up. Next thing we're going to talk about, this was originally the girls. We'll call them the girls because they are girls.
Yep.
You guys had a blast, didn't you?
Yeah, I think we roamed around that building for hours.
They went up to change out the location.
We were moving the field
camera. Yeah. And check a couple things, and they decided to take recorders up and leave them up there. Okay. 2 separate recorders caught the same EVP. Now, originally, Andrea reported this, and Andrea, we didn't get a chance to tell you this, so we know you're watching now, so I want you to try this. Mm-hmm. You posted it on our private group page that you caught an EVP that said hello, and it sounded like a cat. Okay?
Like a meow.
Like a meow. All right. Mike went and ran that through Audacity, slowed it down a little bit, and it's actually a woman saying, "Get out!" Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
You sound just like it too.
That was my past life, But yeah, it sounds like a cat at full speed. But when you just sit there and boost the gain a little bit and slow it down, it just comes out. I mean, it's very, very clear. But it goes from meow to get out,
and sometimes too, when you capture EVPs, I mean, spirits are not in the same time realm that we were in theory, okay, but it might sound like a bark or meow or something like that, and just, if you take the time, this is what takes time, is you take time and tweak it a little bit. It's not a Class A because you had to modify it, but tweaking a little bit, there's something there. So we're gonna take a short break, another 5 minutes, and
We're you gonna try to play that EVP or no?
I don't know. We might try it.
We're gonna try it when we come back.
We might give it a try.
All right.
Okay. So let's try this again, and hopefully the computers don't crash.
Cool.
All right, we're back for our last segment of the show for tonight.
I hope you're enjoying it so far.
I hope you're enjoying it too. If you are, please leave us a comment. If you want us to keep doing these things, when we started after the tour, it was when we take large groups out, we have a private Facebook page and we let the groups go on, post their evidence, things like that. I kind of like doing this.
Kind of
you know, and hopefully some of the people that were there on tour with us hopped on, got some questions, and maybe can share some of their evidence if they got some too. We got to give a shout out to Dave, our man Dave. He was there.
Oh yeah.
Doing his investigation stuff. Was he with you?
He was
yeah,
with me.
With you.
He was in my group.
Was he one of the guys with the K2?
He sure was.
Dave's a great
Dave
guy.
is the great K2 guy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do is, see, I'm only good till about maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock, okay? And then I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to, now I'm going to say, I'm just going to sit and watch the DVRs. You guys go do whatever. And I'm not real good with steps. Now, the J.C. Thompson building is steps after steps after steps. I mean, actually, you go down. If you want to go to the tattoo part, you go down steps, you go through the basement, up steps and everything. And it's multiple floors, too. So what we did was we had 2 teams. We had 3 sessions. First session, one team was in the basement, one was on 2nd floor. Second session, we switched. Third session was the 3rd floor, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm sitting, watching the DVRs. Sarah actually came out, and I think that was the first time she went out ghost hunting.
The first time
building,
she, well, it was the first time she did a whole night.
A whole nighter.
Yes,
okay,
an all-nighter.
So she was with me. She was spent too. So we actually sat down in the resource room, was watching the DVRs. We didn't have cameras, though, up on the 3rd floor. But these guys went up to the 3rd floor. So tell us what you guys got up there.
The 3rd floor of the building was the old East Liverpool brothel. So the apartments are up there where the working ladies spent their evenings, and there is a kitchen at the end of the hall, and the kitchen overlooks the atrium.
And let me just say, I'm going to break in here while you collect your thoughts there.
The lady breaking in was the one just complaining that we went over 9 o'clock. But, go ahead, break in.
Yes.
He makes me so nervous when we go up there into the kitchen because he always sits on the ledge of the window that, like, his back is to the atrium, and it's an open window, and we're on the 3rd floor, and he just makes me so nervous, like he's gonna fall out that window. But he does it every time we go there. I think he just does it to see if, like, I have a heart attack. I don't know. But anyway, that's where he was sitting.
Yep. You know, we weren't having much activity. We always get responses in the kitchen. Always. I mean, it never fails. I mean, the flashlight, if you do flashlight sessions, that's a great place. They always work the flashlights. SB7, it's pretty good too. When we were there, we weren't getting much. And then I started doing an SB7 session, and Dave put down his flashlight, and me and Dave got into a bidding war for one of the ladies of the evening. And
I think we talked about that. Did we talk about
that
that
night? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
we
that
sure
was like
did.
2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We were like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
The 3rd floor
fun.
was between 2 and 3 a.m. So
Yeah.
the flashlight was going on on cue. It was on, and then it wasn't wasting any time. It was off, and then on full blast, off. Getting a lot of responses from the on the SB7. Yep.
We didn't get video, did we?
No.
you're our video guy.
I know.
Our batteries were done.
That too.
Yeah, it was a
It was
decent
late.
night.
It was late.
But
yeah.
I mean,
Next time, back up.
what a way to end the investigation,
Yeah.
though. You know, and my final bid was $3, and I expected Dave to go to $4. Now I would have gone as high as $4.75, but no, Dave went straight from 3 to 5. What a rat, you know? And so, but he didn't get anything out of it.
No, we tried.
Yeah, he told us that we left him in a room for last,
We said he'd have to go out last.
and he said that that was fine. You know, he kept asking for a hug for his $5, and then he said that if he would have got a hug, he would have gone from being the last person out of the building to being the first person out of the building.
But he was denied.
He was denied, shot down.
No
You know.
hugs for him.
Yeah, I just noticed something. We're wearing Dark Shadow Ghost Torch colors.
That we are.
It's kind of cool. You notice that? All right, anyway.
Sure.
All right. Are we going on to
All
my
right,
segment?
we're going on to Marianne, the Skeptics segment. And this is called the Debunk Report. So, Marianne, take it away.
All right. So on the day before the hunt, so on Friday, when we were listening to different sounds as we were going through the building, we kept hearing a boom boom. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is. And then I said, I wonder if it's like if there's something like in the road that it's running over. And it's like, I looked out the door from the tattoo shop and I didn't see anything. The second day, same thing in the basement. Everywhere we went, we kept hearing boom, 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 boom. But it wasn't all the time. It was intermittent, but was always the boom, boom. And it sort of sounded metallic-y, but I wasn't quite 100% sure on it. Everybody thought that it was, somebody tapping on something. We went up to the tattoo shop. I looked out the door again, looked into the street, didn't really see anything. But on break, one of the other people that was in the group that was with me, when I was asking them, hey, do you think that there's anything in the street that's doing this? Went out, actually, we saw in the street, there's a manhole cover there. And the one guy says, I wonder if it's this. And he starts jumping on it, and you can hear it
In the middle of the street.
Yeah, in the middle of the street. But it was like,
You could get away with that stuff at 2, 3 o'clock.
yeah. I mean, there was a car that came by. We made him move off to the side, but it was really pretty simple. But he did. He jumped on the manhole cover, and you could hear it, and it made the same exact sound. So we debunked that night. Those bumps that you hear in the basement of the J.C. Thompson house, it's actually cars that are going past and actually hitting that manhole cover. So it's nothing paranormal. So
Do you have
that's my
anything
debunk report. Not for J.C. Thompson House. I didn't really. I know. I mean, we tried to debunk some other things during the day when I sent Lee in the basement by herself. Remember, but never did find out why that was moving. So I couldn't debunk that at all. So just the manhole cover this time, Sean.
Okay. So if you're there investigating and you hear the
Boom, boom.
it's the manhole cover. All right, so we are going to answer some questions. We did get some questions that come in, and
Lee's gonna
Lee,
shout them out.
can you fire away?
Okay, someone wants to know, what do you think is the most active spot in the building?
You want to take that one, Mr. Mack?
The most active spot in the building. Do I have to limit it to just one?
The most active.
spot.
All right. Well, I would have to
And
say
not the $4 lady.
I would have to say the furnace room brothel. You know,
Yeah, there's actually two
The-
very active.
Yeah.
the furnace room. This time around, the K2 meter was amazing, and then we have video of the mist forming and moving through on several occasions, and then
The reports of the child.
the child, yeah,
That's in that room too.
yeah, and then you go up to the brothel, and every time, I mean, the kitchen in the brothel it's never let us down. I mean, the flashlight always comes on. You get responses. There's just a lot of energy. So I
have to say this time
this time
was the furnace room.
this
But
time was the
overall-
furnace room.
Overall, I think we get a lot more out of the brothel kitchen. But I think this time,
This time
go
with
for the basement furnace room.
the K2 hits, the mist, the sounds of what possibly that little boy. I think all that. Yeah, I would have to say, yeah, the furnace room. You win.
Wouldn't you guys agree that it was more active this time that we were there
Oh yeah, absolutely.
than before? Over the winter, Sarah had a group. What's the name of the group?
Panhandle?
Northern Panhandle Ghost Hunters.
Yeah, they went in every month
Regularly.
over the winter, pretty regularly, and investigated. And this gets back to when I started about our theory that when a place is investigated more, that activity picks up. So I'm anxious to actually go back in a little while after other groups have been there.
And I think it helped. We had we were there early on Wednesday to set up. So our group was there, but then we had a nice amount of people that were in there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, between the seminars, the ghost hunt, and all the tours during the day and that. So there was a constant influx of energy, and you never know what it stirs up. But I think definitely helped.
Did you have the EM pump on the third floor? Did you use your
Yes,
We did in
We
the
did
truckers union
on the
room, but we
truckers
didn't
union
in the
apartment,
Really?
the truckers apartment. We did use the
kitchen.
EM
Yeah,
pump.
and we didn't get any real activity in the
Well,
trucker
we
side.
don't know all the.
I mean, that we noticed
Yeah,
immediately.
that's the only place we used it. Yeah.
But I think that us being there for several days in a row, they kind of also, I think it helps that, if there's something, which I'm the skeptic, if there's something there, I think that the longer,
She's starting to turn.
I think that we were there a longer period of time, they get to know you a little bit better. And the more often you come back, I think that they'd be more willing to chat and participate. And I think we saw that Saturday.
What else you got?
Okay, Bob wants to know how much they charge to do investigation.
I think it's $250. I think the best thing you could do is get a hold of Sarah.
330-368-0590.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you say that phone number again?
330-368-0590.
Slower.
330-368-0590.
I think it's 8 to 2, something like that.
Oh, 8 p.m. to 2 a.m.
8 p.m. to 2 p.m. But you could pay extra for more time. Now, I do have to say this.
Tell Sarah you heard it here.
Yeah, tell her.
Yeah.
Referral. Okay. Sarah uses the money from the paranormal investigators that come in. It all goes directly into the building. Okay. For example, through Panic D and some of our other broadcasts, she had some groups contact her from somewhere on the other side of the state. They're actually there tonight investigating.
Right.
That money that she's bringing in for that is actually going to help pay to replace her water heater that blew up over the winter, and she had a couple feet of water in the basement.
3 feet.
3 feet of water. So anything we can do to help Sarah is we're game for. But please, if you want some place to go investigate, this place is great, and that money helps her renovate the building. She owns the building outright, just has to pay the taxes on it. it's a gorgeous building, and she's doing the right thing. I mean, she's taking care of it and trying to renovate it and bring it back. She wants to put some stuff in there.
Even wants to do some art classes in there.
Art classes, things like that. She is having a little bit of issues of opening up businesses and things like that because it's not power everywhere and fire up to code and all that stuff. But hey, if you're a hardcore paranormal investigator, it doesn't matter anyways. But, give her a call.
Okay, Carla wants to know what was all in the building. We've talked about the tattoo shop and the brothel. Just want to know if you had any ideas what all was there. Marianne.
It's been about a million things, and I did have some note cards and things that I was using for myself while we were giving tours of the building throughout the week, getting all the history right and everything. But it's been pretty much anything you can imagine. It was J.C. Thompson's home. It was apartments. It was a tattoo shop. It was tax shop, lawyers' offices, a butcher shop, radio station, offices for the Morning Journal. It was a hotel, a brothel, a speakeasy, a grocery store, sleeping rooms, telemarketing office. So it was pretty much everything. If you can imagine it, at some point it was part of it.
It's 4 buildings that's fused together.
Three
buildings.
There were a couple of fires.
Yeah, the buildings all actually come together now and form that atrium, which is just a big square chute going all the way from the basement straight on up to outside, all the way up through in between all these buildings where they come together.
Is that completely open?
It's not completely open, but there's a skylight up there. It has a hole in, I think, the one part of the skylight. And between the telemarketing room of the radio side of the building on the second floor and the Lowe's building on the second floor, you can actually see a little shaft of light where the two buildings come together. So that's pretty cool.
The atrium's really kind of neat. Like when you run across that, especially in the daytime, when you stand there and you're like, this is like the outside of the building in the middle of the building. It's really, and it's all brick, and you can see the windows and the fire escapes and everything. Well, I don't know where they're going to go now, why they're there, but it's quite interesting.
You could just picture it like in a movie back in the days, like in the 20s and 30s, where everybody sat there and sat on their windowsills and talked and conversed amongst each other and yelled, "Hey, Ricky!" You almost expect to see, when you look up there, you expect to see people sitting on the sills.
Andrea said that she felt that when she was in there.
And I call it 227. You call it.
Hey, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
I call it the brothel. I mean, I always say hi to the ladies. Where else can you get a good time for 50 cents? But yeah, it's a real vintage look, and I mean, it really does. I know it puts me in the mood of being back in time.
Yeah, and it's been everything.
Okay, one more question. Joe
Where's that from? Where's it from?
The last question?
Yeah.
I think it was Carla. Well, what's not this question?
Oh, Joe?
Yeah.
I didn't look to see where he was from.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I missed that.
Sorry, Joe.
She's been busy writing all them down. I think she knows everything. Well,
yes, I do.
I have to watch.
Hey, we got to give Lee credit because we were, like I said, this is our first one. We're going to play with it and tweak it and make it. But we're taking questions through Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, and I mean, they're coming in from everywhere. But she's been watching them and collecting them together and writing them down. So, last question.
Do you know any of the names of the entities that might be in the building?
Well, as far as I know, none of us that have been investigating actually got a name officially through any EVPs or anything like that. I hope that at some point we might find that. I know that this week when we were there, my group at least, we tried to figure out if it was Eric. In the they have one confirmed death in the building that's on record. It was from one of the fires. He was rooting through the ashes and debris, and one of the walls gave way and crushed in on him, sent him all the way from the main floor through to the basement, and he died. His name was Eric Speargarden. So that was the first fire in 1909, I think it was. Was he the entity in the basement or the entity that Mike saw? I don't know. We don't really know, as far as I'm aware of, any specific entity name.
Sounds like we got a job to go back and find out.
Yeah.
I'm game.
Your game?
Yeah. Okay.
But maybe it was him, maybe it wasn't.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll find out some of the names as they get to know us a little bit better.
We hope you enjoyed the show. We'd like to do some more for you. In fact, we are going to do some more. Next week, our entire group is heading out to Gettysburg. We're going to be staying at a farm that we rented that's actually it's on the battlefield. So we're going to be setting up the DVRs and doing some investigation. We're investigating at the Jenny Wade House and the orphanage. We're trying to line up a couple others, but we'll be investigating where we are staying. And we're going to be coming on and giving you some updates, and we might even broadcast a whole live investigation one night.
We'll try.
We'll try. From Gettysburg, but stay tuned and join us for the next episode of Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yep. Hope you enjoyed it.